Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. Today we're going to talk about off-brand Sawgrass Sublimation inks. So if you have a Sawgrass Sublimation printer, you might be shocked or upset by the price of original Sawgrass ink. So what are your alternatives? We're going to discuss those today. And I am going to use the ColorFusion ink from JPPlus, and I will link to it in the description below this video. So first let's talk about why you might use a off-brand ink and why you might not want to use an off-brand ink. The reasons to use an off-brand ink are simply cost. So the cost of the cartridges are lower and that will result in a lower price per print. Why you might not want to use a off-brand ink in your Sawgrass Sublimation printer is that when you put these off-brand cartridges in your printer, it does void the warranty. Now, if your printer is already out of warranty or you simply don't care about the warranty itself, then an off-brand ink might be something you want to look into. Now, recently I've heard of some changes around Sawgrass where they were making it more difficult to use off-brand sublimation ink, so I thought, why not try it for myself? I'll just see what happens if I use this ink in my printer. My printer is not in warranty, so I'm not really worried about it, so I'm going to install these cartridges and just see what happens. Now the cartridges themselves, I'm using a 31-liter cartridge. For instance, one 31-liter cartridge is $57 of the ColorFusion brand. If I was to get the same size cartridge, Sawgrass brand, it would be $77. So that's a savings of $20 per cartridge. So today I am going to replace all four. However, you could replace these one at a time. I haven't seen a ton of difference between these and the original Sawgrass ink, so I do think you could replace them one at a time and not have any color issues. So the first thing we're gonna do is head to the printer and pull out the Sawgrass cartridges and put in the ColorFusion cartridges. This portion may look slightly different depending on which printer you have. I have the ST500. All I do is open the cover, remove the old cartridge, remove the packaging from the new cartridge, and slide it into place. All you need to do is to make sure that your colors match up. So I'm replacing black with black, magenta with magenta, cyan with cyan, and yellow with yellow. Always make sure that your colors match no matter which cartridges that you use. Once all the cartridges are replaced, you just close the door, and it may run through some cycles at this point where it pushes the ink through the printer. Now normally that's all you would have to do. You could just start printing with those new ink cartridges. A printer has ink in the lines, so the new ink would eventually get to your print heads and start printing out. However, I wanted to run some tests on the new ink and make sure it was the same or similar to the original Sawgrass ink, so I actually printed 40 of these files. You can print these within the Sawgrass printer utility under your utility menu of your printer. Now after 40 of these, let's take a look at the results. This version on the right is the very first sheet that I printed. And then I printed 40 of these. This is the very last one I printed. I do feel at this point the ink is all through there because the colors got just slightly brighter with these last few files. So I'm gonna go ahead and print my sublimation file where I'm gonna make my coasters with this new ink. And now I'm gonna do a quick project with a cute happy fall y'all design, and I printed it with both the Sawgrass inks before I started this process, and I printed it with the ColorFusion inks after those 40 pages of printing. So let's take a closer look at these prints first of all. This version is when I had the Sawgrass inks in, and this is the ColorFusion inks. I can't really tell a ton of difference on paper. This might be slightly brighter. I did use the same print settings to print both of these. Now I'm gonna use these prints to make some coasters and see if there's any difference after the pressing of both of these. So let's head to the heat press and make some coasters. So we'll just head to the heat press. I'm gonna use my Cricut Auto Press for this one. I put a firm heat resistant mat, some protective paper, the coasters themselves, then my sublimation prints face down. I did put one notch on the Sawgrass version and 2 knots on the ColorFusion version just so I could tell them apart. Tape that into place, another piece of protective paper over the top, and press. So you want to press whatever sublimation blank you're using according to the time and temperature recommended for the sublimation blank itself. Then once that time is up, you can remove the sublimation blanks and remove the sublimation print from the coasters. And then these are the results. So this is the version with the Sawgrass ink. This is the version with the ColorFusion ink. And I must say they look very, very similar, and both of them look really, really good. So I'm impressed with how both of these turned out. So saving some money on your sublimation printing might be easier than you think. So try the ColorFusion inks the next time you need to replace your Sawgrass ink. If you're not worried about the warranty on your Sawgrass printer, you might just find that these work really well. Now, a few of the issues I've heard of that people are having with off-brand inks. The first is that their printer alerts them that the ink itself is not Sawgrass ink, is not original Sawgrass ink. For that, it sounds like you just kind of need to hit OK on the printer. Now, if the ink cartridge itself has an outdated chip, you might have to ask the vendor for a new chip. However, if you order the ColorFusion inks, I just tried it, everything worked great with my printer. So these should have any updates to the chips that you would need at the time of the filming of this video. Now, the second problem I've only seen online and only a handful of people is that the Sawgrass software itself was putting like lines across their print and not allowing them to print. That did not happen to me, and I did the latest updates on everything. The latest updates on my printer, the latest updates on the Sawgrass software, and had zero issues printing to my SG500 with an off-brand sublimation ink. So if that happens to you, you might want to do an update on your printer, on your software, and hopefully that will fix any issues that you're having. But otherwise, hopefully you will give this a try and see if it works for you. I will put a link in the description below this video on where to purchase the ColorFusion ink if you want to try those, as well as any other supplies that I used in this video. And then I also have that Happy Fall Y'all design for free, and it is also linked in the description below this video, so head there, grab that file, and make some fall coasters of your very own. So now, if you have any questions about using off-brand ink in your Sawgrass Sublimation printer, drop down in the comment section, ask away. If you liked this video and it helped you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you all so much for joining me. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.